All right, so for our newer listeners out there, we have a couple of different styles of show. We've got some core episode shows that revolve around some of the core adversities that you're going to need to overcome in order to start your own business. Those are episodes 1 through 9 on whatever platform you're listening on. So if it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or even YouTube, go click to our main channel and then go all the way back to episodes 1 through 9. You can watch or listen to those core episodes, and they will give you all of the nitty-gritty of everything you're going to need. Next up, we have some Q&A shows where we answer questions submitted to us by viewers. A lot of those questions are created during their listening of the first 9 episodes. They'll listen to those first 9 episodes. They'll have a couple of questions that are specific to their business, and then they can email them to us. If you want to email us questions, you just simply email askmitch@mitchsmedley.com, mitchsmedley.com. And we can, we'll get those emails. We'll always reply to your emails, but if your questions are good enough, we'll also make a show about them as well. Some other types of shows that we have some guest episodes where we'll bring on guests who have started their own companies, and we'll talk about some of the successes and failures they've had. We have some general business topic shows as well. And then we have shows like we're going to do today called Beyond the Void. And this is where we let the business stuff take a little bit of a backseat, and we talk about some of the more social topics that are current in the world today. So always social, sometimes political, sometimes not, just kind of depends. But we kind of help wrap your mind around how to navigate today's social world in all of the craziness that's going on. So today's show is a Beyond the Void show, so a little less business, a little more social. And today we are going to be kind of rehashing an episode. So we recorded a show last week about Elon Musk and his purchase of Twitter. When we recorded this show last week, it was one day after it was announced that he was going to be buying Twitter. We had some technical difficulties with that show, and we did the entire show, and then we found out that there was some problems with the audio file, and we were not, unfortunately, we were not able to give you that show.
I think Mitch unplugged his mic on purpose because he didn't want to talk about it.
Something happened with my microphone to where I could hear myself in the headset the entire show. However, something was wrong with my microphone to where the audio file had my mic off of it completely, and as good looking as Dave is, listening to Dave have half of a conversation with himself for an hour is not really that entertaining.
You know, that's my life.
Yeah?
So I'm talking to
myself.
myself. So literally, I'm only one half of myself.
Yeah.
So that's like my life all the time.
Yeah.
So if you want, we'll send you that just one half an episode, and you can know what it's like to be me. You'll be insane in 30 minutes.
Yeah, it ain't good. I mean, we tried. We really, really tried. So
it was bad. It was pretty bad.
Thankfully, that's still a kind of current enough topic that we're going to kind of bring in that as well as some other stuff that's going on as well. So
I was listening to, I've said this on the show before, I tune into Ben Shapiro once in a while. He was talking about it today.
Yep.
Again.
Yep.
So
it's a pretty current. I mean, it's going to be talked about for quite a while.
It's not that it's a current event; it's that it's a very important issue.
Yes.
When it comes to First Amendment speech.
Yeah.
You know how the social media platforms have tried to take over reality.
Yeah.
And report what they want when they want. How they have tried to push their narrative, no matter what it is you're saying or what it is you're talking about. You're talking about something they don't like, shut it down. Talking about something you like, push it super hard. It's just manipulation on a national level that can't be allowed to happen.
I saw something today, and it's a new frontier for Facebook. I have a friend of mine on Facebook. He's one of my digital mentors, one of my social media mentors. He was showing screenshots today where he is no longer allowed to use Messenger, Facebook Messenger, for a certain period of time because things that he was messaging people have gone against their community standards.
If he were to
These
sue,
are private messages.
he could probably win if he was suing him. If he tried to sue him.
It's pretty wild. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest. My wife and I use Messenger over text, right? We don't use text very much. We use Facebook Messenger. She's my wife. Like, I think she's fucking hot, right? I text her some dirty shit. I violate community standards on the regular.
You dirty old perv.
It just is what it is.
It's your wife. I get
Right.
it. But just like,
I violate community
this.
standards in Messenger on the regular, and now they're talking about clamping down your Messenger because of that.
We talk about this all the time. Whatever, you can talk to Alexa or Google or whatever. Dude, they're taking all that stuff and they're putting it in a file.
Gosh, yeah.
If you or I tried to like run for Congress, it would never happen. Like, it would just get leaked out that this is what they.
They would find some weird stuff. They'd be like,
it.
Can you believe that this guy thinks that Lego should be this size?
Do you believe this?
It would just be the weirdest shit ever.
What does it matter with you?
I mean, it's just, I don't know.
I'll
Google anything. It's crazy.
You're a trip, man.
So last week comes out, Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter.
Let's get into it.
It's pretty cool. The if you look into the nitty-gritty of how he's doing the deal, it's actually kind of neat. Like, he's able to leverage the future value of his shares of Twitter to purchase Twitter. Like, it's kind of a neat thing how they're doing it. And of course he has some outside investors and everything else. But
first off, if he just wants to write a check, he can write a check.
Yeah.
He can write a check.
It helps out the fact that he's not greedy, right? Like, he doesn't own a home.
No.
The only thing he owns is a badass private jet to take him from business venture to business venture. That's pretty cool.
Does he Airbnb or does he just rent condos? What's he do?
No,
I don't know a whole lot about Mr. Musk.
It may have changed now, but the last time I looked into it, and I don't know how dated this was, but like, he was living in a living quarters, like in one of his buildings. Like, so one of his buildings, he had like put living quarters in. And
Let's be honest. Don't, like, you say that like, oh, it's just it was probably super nice.
Most likely.
I mean, it was probably a high rise in LA. I mean, it was probably.
No, I don't
really
think.
Nice.
I don't want to get the impression it was that, but I mean, I'm sure it was nice wherever it was. But
it wasn't
probably some big giant warehouse.
It wasn't some crap, junky old 110-year-old brick building in downtown KC. Like,
no,
it's not a shack.
No, it's not a piss stained mattress or anything.
No, it's a nice place.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a nice place.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's kind of the model of a guy who's going to reinvest everything back into his business to watch his business grow, and he doesn't need to take that stuff personally.
Why? On the topic itself, why do you think that it makes people so mad that he's going to buy it?
I think people get mad. So the people, you'll notice it's kind of the one certain type of person that's getting upset that he's buying it. And that's going to be...
Do you mean employees or like actual just general people?
No, general people in the population. It's going to be of a certain political affiliation and everything else. And I think what you're learning is the people that are really upset about that are the people, like, it's kind of a big tell. Like, they're showing their poker hand of who listens to the media and follows the mainstream media's instructions to the T, and who doesn't, right? Most of your free-thinking individuals that have the ability to come up with a thought on their own don't really care that he's buying Twitter. And if anything, they may be happy that he's buying Twitter. People that wake up every day and turn on the news and, like, they use the news like their daily compass to tell them how they're supposed to feel that day.
Yeah, it's their barometer for the day.
Right. Those are the people that are upset.
I shouldn't say, should I be mad today? It's, what should I be mad at today?
Right.
That's what new news is.
Where was the bloodshed today?
Yeah, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
That's the new.
Yeah.
Not the new, but I mean.
And you'll notice a lot of those same people are the same people that, like, let's say like we're in the Midwest, we get thunderstorms, right? We just had a badass tornado like 3 hours from here.
Yeah.
That they got some amazing footage.
Luckily, no one was killed.
No one was killed.
Except for those 3 kids that Did you see that?
Yeah, some storm chasers.
Some
that
storm
were,
chasers from
I
the
saw that.
University of Oklahoma were driving back, hydroplaned, hit
Yeah.
a semi, killed them all.
Unrelated to the tornado.
Awful.
They just hydroplaned
Still
in some
awful.
water. Yeah, it is awful.
Just kids.
But there was numerous footage of this Andover, Kansas. If you're listening to the show and you want to look it up.
Did you see half of it was drone footage?
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm looking at the drone footage, and I've flown some of the little ones that are like 2 foot by 2 foot.
Yeah.
You know, that have and you're trying to fly them. If it's 10-mile-an-hour wind, I can't fly the son of a gun. It's in the ground. These guys are like, I mean, it's
the wrong
perfect. Drone. I didn't buy it.
So
I'm not spending $5,000 on a drone. It's perfect. It's just taking video. You know.
Side tangent here.
You bought a drone for $5,000 and regret it?
I'm going to buy one. But
so you can take videos of yourself driving around.
Last Christmas, 2 Christmases ago, for Christmas lights on our house, I made this big, giant 12-foot by 24-foot American flag out of Christmas lights. It's got like 600 or 700 LED lights in it. It's fucking amazing, right?
Mr. Griswold himself.
Yeah. Like, it's wild. And
First off,
we live at the end of the street, so like everybody, it's not like, oh, you're driving by this house. No, like the whole way down the street, and we live right off kind of.
First
a main
off,
road.
you can see it off Adamsbury Parkway.
Yeah,
you can see it.
You can see it, right?
Yeah.
So I put it up 2 Christmases ago.
I've told friends as we've driven by, like, that's my buddy Mitch's house. And they just roll their eyes. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
You're friends with him? Yeah.
So
yeah, we're friends.
Last year, I put it up on my house for like 3 or 4 weeks over 4th of July. Like, as we're coming up into June.
Nice.
I put it back on my house. My HOA, like, half of them hate me because of this, but I don't give a shit.
First off, if people in your HOA hate you,
because you're showing an American flag,
you're doing something right
on the day of our independence,
yeah.
right? So
get off it.
Anyway, because it was 4th of July, I have a buddy of mine. Like, I reached out to a couple of friends, and I'm like, hey, anybody know anybody who have a drone, right? Buddy of mine lets me borrow his drone for a couple of weeks. This thing's fucking cool. Like
it was a legit drone.
It goes 5 miles away.
Wow.
Like
you could fly it to my house.
I could fly it over your house and record in your windows and like all from my house. It's kind of creepy, but
first off,
cool.
Have you seen that episode? I think I saw it on Ridiculousness of the old lady. She wasn't old. She was probably 55. Shoot that one down.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody flies a drone over my house, the shotguns are right by the fireplace, and that thing will be on the ground.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably some laws against doing all that. And I'm not saying
I think there are.
It's just really impressive how far away this thing can go from your house, and like you don't
Does
have line of sight.
Does it use radio frequency?
I don't know. I'm not going to act like I even know how it works. I just know that you dock your cell phone on the top of it, and you're watching the entire thing on your cell phone, and you can record and everything, and it's freaking cool. Well.
Sounds like I'm getting a free cell phone if you fly it over my house.
Well, no, your cell phone didn't go on the drone. Your cell phone goes on the controller.
I thought you meant it went on the drone.
No, I'm watching the drone footage on my cell phone.
From your phone. So what camera does it use? It has just one built in?
It's got a gimbal camera on the bottom of it. Yeah, it's cool. But so I had a buddy of mine let me borrow his drone, and I put it up like 400 or 500 feet in the air, and I kind of zoom in on the American flag on my house. And then, like, all of my neighbors around me are rednecks. It's kind of funny. We're rednecks, but we live in a neighborhood, right? So our cul-de-sac just gets overrun with mortar shells like crazy.
Yeah, Mitch is the guy you don't want living in your subdivision because he fires up all the other guys that don't want to.
It's possible my 10-year-old may have had a run-in with the cops on 4th of July 2 4th of Julys ago.
Yeah, because you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy. You're like, okay, we don't want him here, but he's here.
Right.
And then he goes around and fires up all the other guys who they want to be that guy, but they're kind of afraid. But then he goes over there and gives them like 3 beers and talks them into doing something stupid.
Here's a case of beer and some M80s and join us. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, come on down. Hey, buddy. I got a keg. It's in the driveway. You got a keg for 4th of July? Hell yeah, come on, free beer.
Yeah, and if it runs right through you, I got a urinal in the garage too, so you can just have at it.
Yeah, it's not good.
So we park this drone.
I like it, but
we park this drone like 600 feet in the air, and we start shooting mortar shells off. And so I've got like all these cool photos from the drone, 600 feet in the air, looking at my flag and mortar shells going off right in front of the drone, like 30 or 40 feet from the drone. It's cool. Yeah, it's really neat.
It sounds cool. If I was in your subdivision, I'd be the guy shooting mortars at your drone.
At the drone,
yeah.
right.
I'd be trying to take them down. They'd be on an angle. I'd
Yeah.
be trying to get the arc right.
We parked that drone up in the air, and the first couple times we're like, this should be good. And then the first mortar shell goes off, and like pieces of it hit the drone, and I'm like, eek, go up another couple
Like,
hundred
I'm gonna
feet.
have to write a check. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. But
We've gotten completely off topic.
I can't even remember where we were, to be honest with
We
you.
were talking about Elon Musk.
Yeah, but
I don't know how that.
I don't know how we
related
got
to
onto
Elon
drones.
Musk. I don't either.
But
Let's
so
get
a lot of the people that are upset about the whole Elon Musk thing and the purchase of it are people that are like getting their guidance for the day from the news. And I don't care what political affiliation you are, you should probably turn off the news. Literally, the news's whole purpose is to scare you in to keep watching, right? You'll notice they do this on a couple of things. Every freaking day, it's about a shooting or a killing or a murder or something, right?
Yeah.
It's tragic. Yes, I'm not going to act like it's not. However, it's gone on every day since eternity, and it will continue to go on, and whether you're watching it on the news or not, ain't going to change your life. So it's only going to drag you down. So turn it off for that reason. Another reason is when a thunderstorm, we're in the Midwest, thunderstorms happen. When a thunderstorm comes through the area, turn it on 3 or 4 different news channels and watch.
Yeah.
And then go turn it on like the National Weather Service or the Weather Channel and watch. They're turning up and down the sensitivity of their radar for ratings. I guarantee you your local news channel will have much more red in their radar than like the National Weather Service or the Weather Channel. Because the National Weather Service and the Weather Channel don't need your ad money. They don't need your ratings. They're
No.
literally providing
We're
a service.
paying for that anyway.
Right. You turn on your local news channel, and all of a sudden, what was green on the National Weather Service has spots of red and purple and everything, right? And then you have these personalities on your local news that are telling you to seek shelter and everything else. Meanwhile, your Weather Channel's like, yeah, it's a garden variety thunderstorm.
You're going to have some hail and some winds.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
That is
Yeah.
right there. Those two factors alone should convince you that the news doesn't care about you and they only want to scare you.
And let's be honest, it's their job to get ratings, to make money so that they get paychecks.
Yeah.
But
it's an incredibly unethical way to go
yeah,
about
but the integrity is pretty bad.
Right.
I watch Newsmax is what I watch, or I'll watch News Nation.
Yeah.
They don't have local weather on there, but they're pretty good about, okay, I'm going to put the facts out there. This is what it is, and move on. The thing with Elon Musk and buying this Twitter, for a long time, all of these social media platforms have been dictating to you the news you're getting.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they've been dictating to you what you see, what you don't see. Free speech, as they see it. That's quotations for those of you on Spotify that can't see my fingers
Air
up
quotes,
here.
free speech.
Yeah, free speech. They're trying to dictate to you what free speech can or can't be because they feel like they have to protect you. Well, they're trying to protect you from the truth most of the time. They're trying to...
They say they're trying to protect you, but they're trying to shape what you see and what you think.
Yeah, so that they can... we just talked about this with Disney. They're trying to groom children, basically, is what they're trying to do. The news is trying to do the same thing to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work the same as in they're trying to actually change your brain into thinking this certain way. But if you only see one thing, you're going to believe that one thing.
Right.
Okay? And it's obvious when the employees of Twitter are completely panicked, it's obvious that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because they have literally been cheating the system for so long, and they're afraid that they're all going to get caught.
Yeah.
And they're either going to go to jail, be fired, whatever, because they know that they have been changing the algorithms so that you see what they think is important.
Yeah.
And that's not free speech. That's First Amendment manipulation is what that is.
Yeah. And with all the claims, too, so... I mean, just calling it how it is, Twitter was incredibly left-leaning, right? And so a lot of the far right-leaning personalities with a great subject and a great voice and a great delivery, they put themselves on a platform to have a great audience, right? Well, you're seeing a lot of right-leaning personalities just within the last week. All of a sudden their following is growing by hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And their tweets.
I only have 1,000 followers. I don't understand what's going on. And then boom, oh, the shield's been lifted.
Yes.
Oh, because they're trying to cover their ass.
Yeah, and
right
now
before, like people aren't going to be able to. The problem with technology, and what I don't think these idiots realize, is it leaves a trail no matter what.
Yeah, but we are really good about accepting glitches, right? We're really good about ignoring the fact that shit just doesn't happen like that. And
that's what
I
I
don't
was
want to
talking about before this show.
Yeah, I don't want to get
being
too far off
PC.
in the weeds like with Jeffrey Epstein, right? But the fact that the guy's under such scrutiny and he's under 24-hour surveillance and everything else, and he manages to die in his cell, and ironically, all of the security cameras glitched at that moment.
Yeah.
Like, anybody with half a brain can realize there's some total horse shit going on there.
Yeah.
But yet we're okay to just dismiss it like, well, it doesn't really affect me that much, so I'm just going to ignore it, right?
Yeah. That's the Republican way of thinking for the last 25 years.
Take that same
needs to be
passion
changed.
of it doesn't really affect me that much and use it proactively and turn off the fucking news. Because guess what? Whether you learn today that some thug who was in the wrong place at the wrong time and hanging out with the wrong crowd got murdered in the big city near you, whether you learn that or not, it's not going to affect your daily life.
Yeah,
you don't need that from the news.
Is it awful? Of course it's awful.
Right. I'm not trying to downplay that. And
but
if I could fix it, I would.
Yeah, but don't let them.
How.
You're saying don't let them suck you in to their drama every day and make that part of your real life.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just, people do that and they let it overrun them, and all of a sudden that's all they care about.
Yeah.
And they just let it dictate everything they do.
Yep.
No matter what. And it's just, it's a really, really good way to piss your life away doing nothing. I
often, and we've talked about it before, I've often said that, I kind of qualify everything through the circle of influence. I picture everything falls in a circle, and it's either in the circle or out of the circle. And that circle is, does it affect me personally? And if it does, can I affect change on that subject? So a guy getting shot in downtown Kansas City, a guy I don't know, never met, don't know any of his family, never met him, a guy that hangs out with a crowd that I don't care about or anything like that. If he gets shot, does that affect me? No. Can I affect change in that area? No. So I'm not going to worry about that. So much so that I'm not even going to watch the news to even listen about it, right? Now, maybe one day I'll be in a position to possibly maybe affect change in that area. Kind of doubt it. I mean, it's kind of like a running theme of all of history, right?
Yeah, you can't be everywhere at every time.
Right.
The people that are in that community need to do something.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where it is, you know.
And sometimes that doing something is simply leaving that community.
If it's a block away from your house, that's different. You can affect change. Whether it be okay, say you don't actually make a change, say you start a neighborhood watch in your area because you guys didn't have one. Maybe you have a few more streetlights put up.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a patrol. Maybe you call down to the local police station and say, I want extra patrol up here. And you create such a fit that they do it.
Yeah.
That gets back to the community involvement thing that we talk about all the time. If everyone did that and everyone worried about their little piece and their little neighborhood, all of the neighborhoods would be safer.
Yeah. You'll still see stuff when like suburbia, like white collar type crimes.
Tragedies still happen. Okay.
Right.
But if you could say you could cut it by 10% and save 2 lives.
Yeah.
Okay, that's worth it. That's affecting change.
Right.
But it takes everyone to do that in their own communities. What we're saying is don't get caught up in other communities that are out of your jurisdiction, that are out of your reach, that aren't even that close to you, and don't let that dictate your life.
Right. Right. So you've got the mainstream media that is really trying to convince you that Elon Musk shouldn't own Twitter. And the reason they're doing that is because they were really liking how left-leaning Twitter was. They were Twitter was helping them with their left-leaning agenda.
It was another news outlet for them.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah. And so not only is Twitter freaking out, But now all of your mainstream media is kind of freaking out because now one of the larger social community or social media platforms out there is going to be a whole lot more transparent, and that's going to make it a lot more difficult for mainstream media. It's easy for mainstream media to convince you of things that aren't true when all other media outlets are kind of in alignment with that. Well, the more other media outlets that are out there that start giving you reasons to consider other options,
Yeah.
all of a sudden now the mainstream media's job gets a little bit more difficult.
You notice there hasn't been as much Facebook jail going on either.
Right. A lot less fact checking.
Well, there was
a lot less Facebook jail.
Well, and
except for my buddy that just got put in jail for Messenger.
When he says Facebook jail, quote unquote, air quotes for all of you listening, I mean, that's just literally every week someone was like, "Oh, hey, I'm back on. I was in Facebook jail for posting this," or I haven't seen one in a month.
Right.
Well,
some of that is
I don't know if it's because it's
some of that I think is they're laxed on their standards.
Well, okay, maybe.
But other parts of it too is on a long enough timeline, people realize what it takes to get in Facebook jail and what it takes to get out of Facebook jail and all of that bullshit. And on a long enough timeline, as much as you want to bitch about it, it will change the mindset of an individual, right? Like when we were growing up, if I said something wrong to you, you'd punch me in the nose.
Or
right?
At least be like, dude.
Right.
There'd be at least words.
If somebody says something wrong to somebody on Facebook, they'll call them out, right? Well, now, depending on what words you use to call somebody out on it, you might get put in Facebook jail. And so some people will refrain from calling somebody out as they should. They will refrain from that simply because they don't want to deal with the hassle of Facebook jail. And so on a long enough timeline, Facebook jail still changes the culture of social media because it forces you to behave in a certain way. There's also a lot of small business owners that run Facebook pages, right? And what's one of the number one things that happens when you go to Facebook jail? It tells you that your posts in groups or community pages will rank lower in the feed.
Yeah.
Less people will see them. Well,
yeah, if you're using Facebook to generate customers and grow your business, you have to be careful on what you say.
Exactly.
That is also First Amendment manipulation.
It is. It absolutely is.
It's 100%. I mean,
there's a city very close to here, Shawnee, Kansas. They just made a whole bunch of new government rules. Their legislation says that if if you have 4 adults living in a house and not all 4 of them are related, that is now in violation of the city ordinances. And so basically, if a guy buys a house and he wants to get a couple of roommates to move in with him to help him cover expenses, they're now in violation of city ordinance.
Do you know why they did that?
So they did it because Airbnbs are becoming really popular and people are buying single-family homes with like 4 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And they're taking that 4-bedroom house and maybe they're even adding a 5th bedroom and they're renting all of those bedrooms out individually on Airbnbs. And so you end up with this mass chaos thing, right? Well, guess what? The city didn't have to come up with new ordinances to stop that. It's literally like it's zoned single family home. So it's zoned not for commercial use. It's zoned residential.
Yeah, R1.
It's not zoned for a hotel. And so all they had to do was enforce their current zoning regulations.
Yeah.
And they can fix it.
This is a whole side tangent, but this gets back to people being stupid and not knowing exactly what's going on in their own communities.
Right.
And getting back, this is what we talked about when we talked about people running for school board and people not knowing what was going on with their people teaching their kids in schools.
Yeah.
Because, maybe I shouldn't say stupid. Maybe it's because people are ignorant or lazy and they don't realize what's actually going on because they don't want to be diligent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you literally sit down, and we've talked about this before, when society gets smarter and technology gets smarter, people get dumber.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. This stuff didn't happen in the 80s because people knew what was going on in their community.
Yeah. Well, so my issue with the whole thing is like, if the city doesn't want this in their city, all they have to do is enforce the current ordinances that are already in place to get it out.
And they don't even realize that.
Well, they do realize it. It's the governments want to become bigger. And so the government chose the opportunity to come up with additional laws and additional ordinances, and they disguise it all under, everybody in this neighborhood, we're doing you a favor. We're keeping these Airbnb, these hostile type hotels out of your neighborhood.
You think it's government manipulation, basically?
It
on
absolutely.
A local level?
The government is taking a thing and saying, "Oh, we can come up with more government. We can come up with more rules, additional legislation." Well, in the process, like what happens in every college town? Every college town,
they're all Airbnbs.
a guy buys a house.
Yeah, they're almost all Airbnbs.
No, they're not Airbnbs.
No, before Airbnb was a thing, it was Airbnb.
Guy buys a house.
Yeah, and then rents it out to whoever wants to come that semester.
You kick me $300 a month for rent. You kick me $300 a rent. You kick me $300 a rent. Yeah. All four of us can live here. Everybody pays $100 a month towards utilities.
Yeah. We're gonna go to the
and
bars
it's all
on Fridays.
kind of funneled under the same. Yeah. You're right.
We're all gonna meet back here after the bars close.
That's not an Airbnb, right? The owner of the home is an individual. He's not running that home like a business. He's not doing it for profit. He's not advertising rooms for rent. Right? He's literally saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a roommate. If you want to share some expenses, that's great." Totally different than what this city ordinance is out to knock out.
Yeah.
And even my own dad was questioned. Like I shared a snippet on my Facebook page of this, like a newspaper article of the city ordinance, and it basically eliminates a guy from buying a house and grabbing a couple of roommates to share in the expense. It makes it illegal for that to happen.
I saw that initially when I saw that, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't look at it. So there was a guy, and I think it was Shawnee Mission. He was going to buy a house. No, it was his parents' house. His parents were, I think they were Chinese immigrants, and they came here. He bought them this house, and then they had passed away. And he was going to make it a rehabilitation center,
right,
for addicts, alcoholics, things like that. I thought that's what that snippet was.
No.
So I just rolled on. I didn't even read it. I thought, oh, well, that's actually probably pretty smart. They probably should be shutting that thing down. I wouldn't want that next to my house.
I've got a customer of mine through our plumbing company that he buys houses. Like, he does this through Airbnbs. He buys houses, and it'll be like a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in downtown Kansas City. And he'll rehab the house, leave it a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and he will use that to sell or lease or rent, whatever, for Airbnb bedrooms.
Yeah.
And they all have to share a bathroom, and they all have to share a kitchen, and they all have to share a living room. It's kind of weird.
No thanks.
I wouldn't be interested in that style of Airbnb, but I'll be honest with you, the guy's booked up all the freaking time.
Because college kids are rolling through.
Right.
Or whoever's just rolling through and they need one spot for one night, or they need, whatever.
And so I'm not knocking the idea or anything else. My issue with the whole thing is, if a city has an issue with that, all they have to do is just reassert their current ordinance that says this is now a commercial building, right? Because an individual is using this under an LLC for profit.
Yeah.
So all they can file it under that. They can also file it under the fact that this is zoned as a single family dwelling and you have 4 families living here.
Yeah.
They can file it under that. They could have redone their own ordinances. However,
they were trying to grow government.
The public is so freaking blind to the fact that government's growing every day that they allow the city to come up with all of these extra rules and don't realize that now when their kids grow up and they want to go get a space on their own and have their buddies help kick in on rent, it's now illegal.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking problem.
You know why it happens? and things like this happen all the time. It's because the people that aren't lazy, the people that are out there working and working hard, okay, and then they already get limited time with their family.
Yeah.
They get limited time to do what they want. They have hardly any downtime. They don't want to come home and then have to go to board meetings and they don't want to have to deal with reading through all the crap.
Right.
You know what I mean? So basically what happens is 8 people in that community that are on the board are going to dictate everything that happens.
Yeah.
And it's really, when you get down to it, it's a broken system is what it is. And we've talked about it before.
Well, and it's a broken system that's built on the backs of broken public, right? The public has not been made aware of the fact that it's very okay to hold your government accountable instead of allowing your government to run on their own, right?
Yeah, and the real problem is the accountability. So when those systems were set up, people were pretty honest.
Yeah.
And people were pretty nice. And so there were no real ways to hold them accountable built into the system.
Right.
And it's hard now to get those accountabilities built back in.
Right.
You know what I mean? How do you do that?
You show up at city council meetings and you voice your opinion and you stand your ground.
That goes back to what I was just saying, though. The people that are successful and that care are working so damn hard and have so much going on.
Yeah.
It's like after, it only affects 3 streets. So if 2 people go, does it really make a difference?
Right.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
You have to really have an uprising. And that's what I mean when I say broken system. You really have to get to the point where there has to be, it's sad to say, there has to be an accountability group to keep track of those people.
Right.
That citizens can go to. It's just, and that's more government too. It's like, what do you do?
So
what do you do?
It's kind of funny you bring that up, and we're talking about Elon Musk and Twitter. Elon Musk memes have been like all the rage over the last week about Elon Musk buying everything, right?
I don't watch any memes.
Oh.
I don't check it out. I don't get into it.
No, it's been funny. Like Elon Musk says he's going to buy Coca-Cola and make him put cocaine back in it.
Oh, man. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Or like Elon Musk is going to buy Pornhub and actually make the plumber fix the faucet. Right? And I saw one the other day that said, like, so locally around here, we have a city around here that's called Independence, Missouri, and it was like the meth lab capital of the world
for a long time.
For a while,
for
right?
a long time.
So it's kind of a trashy city. I'm not going to say it's trashy. It has a trashy stereotype, right?
The problem with Independence is parts of it are the nicest parts of the city, and then other parts of it are the worst part.
The worst, right.
And when I say the city, I mean the KC metro area, and the other parts are the worst. It's just it's all over the map.
So
and it's huge. It's so big.
I saw a meme the other day that said Elon Musk bought Independence, Missouri for $87, and the first comment on there was, "Wow, he overpaid." It was freaking hilarious. So,
oh my God, he got ripped off.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, ultimately, you'll look at the people. It's kind of funny. The people that are really, really upset about Elon Musk buying Twitter, if you go back and look at their social media feeds, go back 3 years ago, and they were idolizing this guy for like revolutionizing the electric car industry, and he's going to save the planet, and he's so environmentally conscious, and oh my gosh, I wish everyone would be like him.
Why are you talking like a woman right now?
I'm talking like an Elon Musk supporter from 3 years ago, right? And then you get him like a year and a half ago, and oh my gosh, look what he's doing with SpaceX, and he's just a revolutionary, and oh, this is so great. Like, he beat NASA.
I love how, just to go with that, so he's starting these electric car companies, he's doing all these great things, and then he's burning literally 50,000 gallons of fuel in 3 minutes to get outside of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so he made all these cars and did this, and then launched this giant rocket that did this.
Right.
I mean, and then what are you doing, dude?
And then on top of that, he used that giant rocket that's putting all of the pollutant in the atmosphere to put one of his electric cars into orbit.
Yeah,
like,
it's just it's literally insanity.
Right.
It's like, do you remember that movie in the 90s, Armageddon?
Oh yeah,
with Bruce Willis.
Oh man, so it's in my top 10.
So in the opening scene, he's an oil driller, and he's launching golf balls at protesters, right?
Yeah, he's teeing them off of his oil rig.
They're protesting
Stop the drilling.
Stop the drilling. And he literally says to them, "Do you know how much gas
Yeah.
that oil tanker you're on?
Do you know
is
how much
burning?"
diesel that clunker boat pumps out an
Yeah.
hour?
Yeah, it's just like all these people. They're like, "Don't drill here in America. We want to keep it nice here. Bring in oil cheaper from other places."
Yeah.
Well, it literally takes them 7,000 gallons of fuel to bring it from China to here.
Right.
You could have literally saved a gabillion CO2 particle. I don't know what tons of CO2 and just used our
Just
stuff
done it
instead.
here.
And our standards are higher, so it's cleaner for us to do it here. But you're gonna be all butthurt
Right.
when
It's silly.
the amount of insanity that's in this country right now is just, it freaking blows my mind.
So you had them all, on Tesla fanboys or fangirls, and then SpaceX fanboys or fangirls, and then with all this shit in Ukraine that was firing up and everything else, now Elon Musk is a savior.
Yeah, sent the satellites,
and he puts the satellites over Ukraine. Because Russia was stopping that,
which
and
was
everything
great.
else, which was great, right?
All the
and
things
they were
he's done
loving him,
have been great.
And then all of a sudden, now that he buys Twitter, and this goes to show you too that the liberal-minded people that were on Twitter, the fact that they're getting so upset about it is two reasons. One, their mainstream media tells them to be upset, and two, they were fully aware and conscious of how Twitter was suppressing right-leaning stuff.
They knew.
Yeah.
They knew.
And so that is why they're upset.
That's why they're so mad.
Is because now all of a sudden their advantage has gone away.
Yeah.
And so it's really funny to watch. I've got a couple of people that I'm friends with that are just going a complete 180. And they're like, one of my friends, I just don't know if it's okay for one man to own so much of a company. And I literally replied on it, and I said, where was this concern whenever he was revolutionizing the electric car world? And where was this concern whenever he was more financially efficient than NASA at getting into orbit? And where was this concern whenever he was aligning satellites over Ukraine? Like, the guy's got a track record of doing amazing things, being the one guy in charge of an organization.
And why aren't you mad at Zuckerberg for owning Facebook? And why aren't you mad at Bezos for buying the Washington Post and running Amazon?
Right.
All of a sudden it's a problem. You know why it's a problem? Because it's not with your ideals and your views.
And it cuts into your advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's, you know what I've noticed too, and I shouldn't say notice, I've known for a long time. Originally, people could come in from the right or the left or whatever, and you could talk about, whatever, and you could compromise on things.
Right.
Now it's not that way.
Yeah.
The left, they have literally been taught in colleges. I know people firsthand that have told me these things. They have literally been taught, if you don't agree, fight until you're dead, basically, is what they've said. Don't compromise.
Yeah.
Don't fold. Just keep on moving.
Yep.
That's not how America works.
Right.
You have to be able to compromise or you cannot move forward.
Right. Right. One of the so on that idea of compromise and balance, I saw a graphic the other day that was kind of interesting, and it basically shows three different images. And the first image was it just says a few years ago, or 10 years ago, and it's got your far left, your far right, and then it shows a person that's kind of more centered, right?
Yeah.
Well, the next image is a few years later, and you've got your far right doesn't move, your guy that's centered doesn't move, and then your far left character is actually running way far to the left.
As far as they can.
Right? And then now, today's world, you've got your far right guy doesn't move, your centered guy doesn't move, and your far left person is even farther off into the distance to the left. And so what it makes it look like is the guy that used to be centered is now more closely aligned with the far right ideology than centered. And that's a problem because the left has drugged the center so far to the left that it makes people that used to be centered appear far right. And it couldn't be further from the truth.
I'll use with my own family, I use like my grandmother and my grandfather on my dad's side are super hardcore Democrats.
Right.
And I have, my dad's right or Republican, and then my two aunts are left. But I use the example of this is not JFK's Democratic Party.
No.
This is not Bill Clinton's Democratic Party.
Gosh, no.
If you went back in time and looked and told JFK, okay, this is what's happening right now, he'd be the furthest right son of a bitch in the party.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
People, that's the real problem with older generations of Democrats. They keep voting Democrat because they think that's where it's at. That's not where it's at.
Right.
If you would open your fucking eyes and look around,
yeah,
and stop being so focused on Democrat, and just looked at the views and seen what was going on, you'd realize, oh, you know what? I'm probably more center or more just a touch right of center than I thought I was.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they have pushed everything so far to the left that it's just, we're in socialism, capitalism. I mean, we are starting to push so far out there that people don't, and people, they have it so good in this country specifically that they don't realize how bad it is in socialist countries.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh no.
Go talk to somebody who's escaped socialism.
And I was listening to it wasn't a podcast, it was a radio broadcast the other day, and they were breaking down different races as far as they view Republicans versus Democrats in the current era.
Right.
And they were talking about the Latino culture, Mexican culture. They used to be left, and now a ton of them have moved right because a lot of them have come from Venezuela.
Yep.
And South American countries that tried to go socialist or are socialist and realize that doesn't work.
Right.
And they are scared to death that this country is going to turn into that.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. People need to really start looking around.
Yeah.
And realize what's going on.
Yeah. And you'll see that. I mean, you see micro forms of socialism with your social media, right? You see micro forms of socialism on Facebook. Facebook uses their community standards almost like a version of a social credit score. And if you misbehave with their community standards, all of a sudden now your ability to perform on that platform is reduced. And so that's a big problem. If me as my business wants to excel on Facebook, I have to watch what I say personally because it could affect my business's ability to make a living for me.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, right? That shouldn't be. Now, that's not permission to go out and be completely vulgar and dangerous and saying things that are flat illegal, right?
Not.
But I should be able to share a story that has not been proven true or false yet as a point of thought or a point of subject. I should be able to share that with my friends and not be reprimanded for it. I should be able to share images or pictures or infographics that have yet to be proven true or false and not allow that to jeopardize my business. However, what happens is on those social media platforms, because most of them are far left-leaning, what happens is they will take a right-leaning post and they will throttle it down or remove it under the heading of they're fact-checking it, right?
Yeah.
And they'll say that this has not been proven true, and so we can't display it. But then you take an opposing viewpoint that's left-leaning, and they'll leave it running and say that until it's proven false, we'll leave it up. And so they're using that gray area of true or false to allow them to run more left-leaning articles and fewer right-leaning articles.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even get into all of the shadow banning and everything else that was going on. I've seen it with my own eyes. There are a couple of guys I follow where, and I've like clicked to see, Like I've changed my settings to see every single update that they have. And all of a sudden I'm not seeing their updates, and I go click on their page and here's 4 or 5 or 6 updates that I have not seen.
Yeah, they're throttling them.
And they're shading me from being able to see that person, right?
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
First Amendment manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes all the way down. Like, it changes the course of elections.
Of course it does.
It absolutely changes the course of elections.
I have a great example of that. So 2 summers ago, I had jury duty downtown.
Yep.
So I go down there. It was for a murder trial. I find this out later. I got picked.
Mm-hmm.
I was so fucking mad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm running my own business.
You know
I
the
got
key to
nothing
that,
going
right?
on. Yeah, I know, but I'm an honest person.
If you ever get picked for jury duty, you show up wearing a Make America Great Again, a MAGA hat.
You're probably right now.
No.
This is before that.
Show up wearing a MAGA hat and a BLM T-shirt, and they'll be so fucking confused. They'll kick you out so fast.
So, anyways, so I go down there at 7 a.m. I'm there all day. Literally, I did not leave there till midnight.
Right.
Because this is they're picking a murder trial deal. They literally, so they ask you're sitting there and they ask all these questions that are raise your hand questions.
Right.
Okay. You get those questions, you raise your hand, whatever, they may ask you other questions. Literally, there was a huge argument between the half of the juror class and the judge and the attorneys about innocent until proven guilty. 3/4 of the people in there, when they asked the question, are you innocent until proven guilty or guilty until proven innocent? 3/4 of the people thought you were guilty until proven innocent.
Oh my gosh.
In America. I'm not fucking kidding you. This is happening. This is literally happening in front of me. What has created that is this social media environment.
Yes.
Of you're guilty until you can figure it the fuck out, dude.
Right.
It's the exact same thing. And literally, my eyes were so closed that when this happened, I was literally in shock for like 2 hours. I was like, "Are you?" I'm looking around, and the 2 people that were next to me, I'm asking them, I'm looking them, and I'm saying this out loud. We're not in a room that's that big. It's probably the size of your first level.
Right.
Okay, if it was all open.
Yep.
And I look at the guy next to me, and I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I mean, loud. Like
Yep.
I got reprimanded. I'm like, "Are you telling me these people are so fucking stupid?
They're about ready to be
that
picked for a jury.
That they think that you're guilty until proven innocent." And the attorney is literally like, "Sir, they don't know your names. You're holding cards with numbers on them.
Right.
Sir, could you put?" And I am so fucking mad.
Oh, yeah.
At this point.
Absolutely.
I think that's why I got picked for the damn jury, because it was unbelievable. And now looking back at it, I think the culture that we have created through really news and social media has made people think that.
Through
even
bullshit
though it's not true.
Thinking there's actually some level of importance to Johnny Depp and what's-her-face Heard.
Yeah.
Like, they're letting that trial run the media and run social media and everything, and people are getting heavily invested into this personal defamation. Like, this isn't law. This is
no one cares.
This is he said bad things about me and she said bad things about me and all this shit, right? Like, we're literally getting wrapped up in somebody's fucking personal gossip, and what we're taking from it is some versions of law.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
What is going on?
You've got people in that murder trial that, like, their legal experience or their experience of the legal system is like Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and what this gets to the Rittenhouse trial. We've talked about this before. So all these people come on there and they're like, "Nope, he's guilty. He's guilty, 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 guilty." No, you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Right.
And so just
prove he's guilty.
Yeah, and then so he's proven that is innocent in his self-defense. Do you think anyone came out and apologized? No.
No, God, no.
Fuck no.
No.
Did anyone come out and say, hey, okay, you know what, maybe we should have realized it's innocent until proven guilty here
Well, that
in
guy's
this
about ready to
country?
be fucking wealthy.
Well, first off, he's already got like 3 he's already wealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
I can't
he's
wait until
freaking
he
loaded.
sues the sitting president of the United States.
I hope he does.
I mean, he's got it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, he does.
yeah.
I mean, all the lawyers are. We're not getting into that on this episode.
Can you imagine?
But it's just like this. I have a personal example of this. So, my mom passed away at the end of January.
Right.
Okay, COVID. Right, she passes away. My stepdad. So, he tells me first off he's a horrible person. Like I find out, you know, after she's passed away, all of these horrible things that he's done money-wise. And that's not the point of the story, is that he's a bad person or whatever. The point of the story is, and I'm not trying to throw my sister under the bus here at all, because I love her to death, but she is, we were going to get attorneys and take him to court. Okay, that was the whole deal. You know, we're trying to get her retirement money. We know that she wanted us to have it, but the law's against us.
Right.
Okay, because
Because she was married to him.
well, because of the beneficiaries that she had set up and the things she had done, and I'm fine with that now. She wanted to go after him, but the whole time she is, you know, after I had pretty much given up and I was like, you know, I knew the law. I had talked to some attorneys and I was like, Jules, the law's against us here. There's nothing we can do, you know.
Right.
Well, she's like, well, he's literally, she says to me, she's sending me these texts. Well, you know, he was this and that, and we get in front of a judge and show him what a horrible person he was, and I'm thinking the whole time, that's not how the law works.
No.
Just because you're a bad person does not mean that you're guilty.
Right.
It's not the movies. You don't, you know, it's not you have your parents come up there in front of the judge and say all this, and the judge is like, oh, okay.
It's not a popularity contest.
No, and the judge, even if the judge knows that a person is horrible, not talking about my situation, even if they know that he's horrible and that it's awful, if the law states
Yep.
that this money is going to go to this person, or these kids in this scenario are going to go to this guardian,
Yeah.
that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
And that gets to all of this stuff about, oh, well, Elon Musk is a billionaire and he shouldn't do it. Well, guess what? The law doesn't say that.
Right.
The law says this, and you have to abide by the law.
Yeah.
That's how a democratic society works.
Yeah.
You just sometimes you got to put on your fucking big boy pants and deal with the results of reality. And if you want to live in the greatest country in the world, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices of, we have to trust the law. We have to trust what's happening. You can't throw an adult temper tantrum because you went to Kansas State or KU or MU or Ohio State or Florida State, and they've taught you to don't give up on just fight till the end.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No.
You have to go by what the law says.
We all play by the same system.
We all play at the same system. And for all of you that think, oh, the system's rigged,
It ain't.
Mitch knows me pretty well. I come from a pretty poor family.
Yeah.
Okay? I've done pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Okay? My wife, her parents, they were not like, you know,
Right.
have all this money. You know what? They worked their asses off.
Yeah.
And they got to where they are because they did that.
Yep.
And that gets back to this show and the personal accountability process that we talk about. That's how you're successful.
Yep.
This whole, the government needs to help me. The government needs to do this. I need to get here. I need to do that. No. You need to just say, I need to take personal responsibility, and I need to do these things in my life, or my family tree isn't going to change.
Right.
It's going to be the same way it's always been.
Yep. Yep. You've got to take initiative to raise your children. You got to recognize areas where you should have had improvement in your life, and you've got to take initiative to raise your children in a way that they are better than you.
Yeah, that should be the goal.
And a lot of people take that really shallow, right? They're like, oh, I want my kids to have a better life than me. And so they try to give their kids a better life, and you can't do that.
No.
You have to teach your children how to make a better life on their own.
You have to teach them how to be more successful than you were
Yep.
by passing on the things that you have learned.
Overcoming more adversity than it's kind of weird. It's like a paradox shift or a paradigm shift of, okay, you want your kids to do better than you, but success comes from overcoming adversity. So you literally have to guide your kids into pathways of adversity so that they can overcome it and become better than you. You can't just hand them a solution.
No.
Because that's a short-term fix. It does not create long-term stability.
And it is hard to create adversity at different levels.
Right.
Okay, it is, but there is diversity at different levels. Listen, I'm going to give you I know we're running at a little over an hour. So I try to give my daughter, everything that I didn't have.
Right.
Or everything, I shouldn't say that I didn't have, but everything that I wanted.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I also try to teach her that she has to be tough as nails or she ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
Okay? And I have been beating this into her. She's 9 now, and I've been trying to, I shouldn't say beat it into her, but I try to have conversations with her about it.
Right.
Literally, so this is going to seem stupid to some people. So they played Division III soccer last fall, okay, and they dominate. They lose one game in their division. They move them up to D2. They win their first game this spring, and they have lost every freaking game since, okay? And she's upset about it, okay? She's pretty competitive. And literally the whole time I'm telling her, the only person that can change this are you and your friends.
Yep.
Okay, you and the girls on the team. Coach Mouse can't change this. I can't change this. There's nothing I can do. And I'm preaching to her effort the whole time. I'm like, your effort has to be 100% all the time.
Yep.
And she's not buying it. I mean, this has gone on for 6 weeks. She's not buying it. They go down 2 goals, they're out.
Done.
Yeah. So I've been literally, and she's been getting mad at me literally mad at me. Like I would come to her and I would say, let's talk about soccer. I don't want to. Let's work on this. I don't want to. She's mad. I mean,
Right.
She is fighting mad, will not talk to me. I go in the other day and I say, Layla, I'm not going to ask you about soccer. I know you're mad about it. We're not going to talk about it anymore. I said, I'm going to tell you one thing. If I don't see 100% effort, we're not doing it anymore. Okay, it's 100% up to you if you want to give effort. Okay, I'm not going to ask you about scoring goals. I don't care if you score goals. I don't care if you play bad. I don't care if you lose. I care if you give 100% effort.
Right.
Okay, you and your friends are losing because you're not giving effort.
Yep.
I leave it at that. Literally, I'm not shitting you. Saturday, they lose a close game. Sunday, they have a game, and I don't say anything to her. I look over on the sideline before the game, and Mouse sits down, and she is yelling at these girls, and she's upset.
You're tearing up.
Yeah.
It's a big moment. She's yelling at her teammates. She's encouraging them.
She puts her hand in there,
Yeah.
and they're screaming,
Yeah.
and they come out, and they win.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a proud parenting moment there. That's absolutely what that is. That's making a breakthrough with your kid to realize, so that they realize that they are in control of their own destiny.
Yeah, and so she comes off later, and I ask her, and she's, Dad, I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. She got her kids and she got her friends involved and made them all realize that this is on us, That's huge. That's and I struggle with that too. Like we get different opportunities with our kids to where they have breakthrough moments where they're struggling for a while, and then all of a sudden they realize I'm in control of change here. I'm in control of whether I succeed or fail, and that is it's like a light bulb moment as a parent where you finally land that connection and make that connection with them, and they change it. My older son is kind of a little more on an even pace right now, but my younger son is very, very similar to that, where he was struggling with some things, and it was never his fault, and it was just the world's against him and all of this kind of stuff. And you stay consistent, and you stay passionate, and you stay working with them. And then all of a sudden, like literally last night, I had a conversation with my son about, hey, you've changed a lot in this area, and it's really cool, and there's nobody else to give credit to other than you. You've put in the work. You've done better. You're now seeing the results of it. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, Dad, I am. And you're right. It wasn't all those other things. It was me. And now that I've changed me, things are going a lot better. So
Yeah.
I know exactly the feeling that you've got.
Yeah.
there.
Dude,
Yeah.
she put her hand in there. I can hear him yelling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tired of I can hear her telling them, I'm tired of losing.
Right.
You know, and she's got them, they're all riled up, you know, oh, go Sporting KC. They play for Sporting KC affiliate team,
Yep.
you know, here. And sorry about the emotion there.
No, you're good.
I didn't realize that was going to happen.
Good.
And, but, you know, she gets them all fired up and they win. And, you know, they all come off, you know, later. And, I mean, they stomped a hole in their ass.
Yeah.
You know, they finally realized that our effort and our decision to be great is on us.
Yeah.
They're 9. Will it go to the next game? Who knows?
Who knows?
But in that moment, you know, that's the moment that a lot of us have when we get older and we're trying to, you know, some of us get it when we're 25 and some of us get it when we're 28 and some of us get it when we're 32. We realize I'm in control of my own destiny.
Right.
And what I can control. My destiny can be great because I control it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
all those little girls had that, you know,
Yep.
and they came off, oh, they're all fired up. And, you know, we talk in the car on the way back. I'm like, hey, you know, what happened? You know, this and that. She's like, you're right, Dad. I told him that our effort was bad and that we weren't doing what we were supposed to do. And I said, well, who decided to put their hands in? And, you know, because they never had done that before. Well, I told them we were going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we watch the sporting games and,
Yeah,
you know, all
yeah.
these different games. So she picks that stuff up, you know.
Yep.
And it was all because those kids decided they wanted to do that.
Well, and some of it too
And it's
is
just, if you're 35 and you've never come to that moment of self-realization that I can do it, all I have to do is change my own mental aspect of where I am and my attitude of I can do it, you can still do it. It's never too late.
Yeah.
You could be 65. It's never too late.
Dude, that's why on the
get there.
On the recent show we talked about the law of averages and how to win the law of averages, and I was encouraging people to do the 75 hard program.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, I have no affiliation with that program at all. However, I've gone through it and I know exactly what it takes. And if you're contemplating whether you have the discipline or you have the control or you have the power to change yourself, you go do a program like that or anything similar to that. You go do that and put in that much effort and that much dedication and that much discipline for that long. There's nothing you can't do. And we all have breaking points in life. We all lose the final game that clicks in our head that we're not going to lose anymore, or we're not going to lose repetitively anymore.
Yeah.
And
or if
things
we
click.
do lose, it's because I still gave my all.
Right.
I gave it all,
didn't
and I
lose
gave
because we
everything I
gave up.
had. Yeah, you didn't let the system beat you.
Yeah.
It may have won, but you didn't let it beat you. You
Right.
gave it everything you had.
Right. And that's a successful loss because you're still learning from that. So,
Yeah. And that's what we talk about on the show. There's
yeah.
just you're in control. You're in more control than you think you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so to kind of wrap things up here with the Beyond the Void show, we've got 1,000 things that are going on every day in our world that can affect our direction in life. If we let the media tell us how to think, and we let the media tell us how to feel, and we let the media tell us what to think, we will never, ever be in control of our own lives. If we want the life that we expect, if we want the life that we dream of, we are in control of that.
Yeah.
And there is nobody that can stand in our way. So stop allowing others to tell you what to think. Stop allowing others to tell you how to think. Start listening to those that are coaching you and teaching you how to get done what you want to get done in this world.
Damn right.
And then just go do it. There's literally nobody standing in your way. And the moment you think there's somebody standing in your way,
It's yourself standing
it's
in your way.
yourself. Exactly. exactly. So,
Yeah.
guys, that about wraps it up for this show. Dave, thanks for getting emotional with us. That was
Damn,
kinda
sorry.
nice.
Usually, like, I'm just going to say out loud, I'm a pretty emotional person. Like, I cried at Mitch's wedding, giving
Yeah.
my best man toast,
Yeah.
and it was pretty embarrassing. But usually you can anticipate those things. That
sneak
thing
up out
just
of
snuck
nowhere.
up on me,
Yeah.
man. Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. So, guys, if this show made you think about something in a little bit different way, or it made you consider things a little bit differently, or if it gave you some insight, do us a favor and share this show with somebody else who might need it. There are tons of people out there in the world that need a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of guidance to help them understand that they are the key to themselves kicking ass in today's world. So if you know of somebody that's wanting to start their own business or just needs a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of guidance through life, send them a link right now to this show. Go hit the share button on this show, send them a link, and tell them, hey, check these guys out. They're pretty cool. So
Pretty honest.
we're pretty transparent. We're pretty honest. There's not much that's going to get under our skin. And even with our views, we still come to our decisions with a fairly open and honest viewpoint. We don't have our views simply because we were told to have them. We have our views because we've been proven through life that these views result in the most success. So until next time, guys, we'll see you later, and have a great week.